And we are back the third week with the Q&A show. I'm Jason Avant, and I'm happy to be here today. And I'm happy to see my brother, happy to see the co-host of this show, my man, Quintin Mikell. Quintin, say what's up to the people.
What's up? What's up, man? How's it going? How's it going? I
Great,
had
man.
to, first of all, I let you know I have to represent. You've been wearing your Michigan gear, right? So I had to represent for the crew, Boise
I,
State.
I see
Had
it.
to,
I see it.
had
I
to bring
see
that
it.
blue out. So
I see it. I see it.
doing good though, man. Having a good time. The weather's been beautiful last couple of days. Been getting outside and enjoying life, and having fun with the kids, man.
Yeah,
How about you?
I see. Well, launch is rocking and rolling, and I've been chilling with the kids and doing homework. I've been doing everything. You kind of multifaceted over here, right? As a dad, and but I see you got the clean shave going on, man. You got a date going. What you
It's
got
a
going
little
in?
shiny up here. I normally have to wear the hat. This part of my hair is good, but like back here, that started going back in college. So I made that decision a long time ago. Hey, it's over.
Hey, you know, my man Trey Thomas. Every time, this is a funny story. Every time I would enter the huddle, and it would be a TV break or something like that. Because like when you get a TV break, you take your helmet off, you try to dry off, get some water, and Trey Thomas would be looking at me like this. He's like, man, you need to stop playing and cut your hair, man. You look terrible. Let it go. Let it go. You're trying to hold on to it. Let it go. And him and Donovan would be cat. I'm like, man, can y'all focus? Can we finish the fourth quarter, finish this game winning drive? Y'all talking about my hair. Let's go win the game.
Oh, that's
But
too funny, man.
Every time I see him today, he's like, man, I'm glad you came over the other side.
That's what it'd be like for ball guys, man. We like, there's a little bit of envy because you still got enough to get through, but we know where it's coming. So we had to make that choice. It was made for us. So we want more people on this side with us.
Hey, Q, I remember being, I think I was like 28, 29, right before a game. And I got tired of, shaving my head down to a 1, right? Because the 1 is like the last one before, and I was in the locker room right before a game, and I looked at it, I was like, man, stop playing, just cut it off. And I was like, yeah, and then I was like, oh, it's over. I went out and played the best game of my life, man. I felt free, right? I didn't have the burden of trying to deal with my hair going away.
Coming in out the huddle, you're not getting laughed at in the huddle.
Exactly. All that. It's like, man, you cut your hair off, man. Finally, you've been going since 2000.
I was lucky. So when I was a younger player, blast from the past, guy named Dexter Wynn. He was me and Dexter were like pretty close back then, and yeah, he was all right, but he's already bald. And there was one time I was in the locker room, same deal. I had shaved, but I can't really use a razor. I got to use clippers because I get the bumps and stuff. And so one time I use a razor, but it don't get so close. And he did the same thing, like looking at me in the locker room and shaving, like, come on, Q, just let it go, man. Just let it go. And I'm like, bro, I can't, like, your hair's different than mine. You get away with the shaving. I can't do it.
But you got a bald head, so it's good, right? Like, so some people have a bald head and some people don't, right? So thank God that we got bald heads, because it's kind of tough when you don't have a bald head and you just got like a big box head and you bald. It's a little tougher on your life. But we're gonna segue into the show. We're gonna like dial it back a little bit and thank everyone that's tuning into the show. I'm constantly getting stopped about the show and people giving their feedback and how much they are enjoying it and how great you're doing, Q. And there are so many people that have questions, and we're going to get to some questions tonight. There's a lot of things that we have to discuss. But before we discuss anything, to the fans out there and to everyone that's tuning in to the Q&A show, we appreciate you. Make sure that you're checking us out. We're on Inside the Birds platforms, YouTube, Instagram, everything. Just make sure that you're checking out the Q&A show on Inside the Birds. We're having a blast doing this, and we're trying our best to give you up-to-date information, right from our minds, from our study, from what we're seeing on the tape. And I'm excited to continue to do this show with you, my brother. And today we're going to We're going to hop right into it, but do you want to say anything to the fans before we get into it?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything. I love the support. Everyone's, been very supportive and a lot of positive vibes. And, we just got to continue to mold this thing and bring back the raw information that everybody wants. And again, man, if anyone has any questions, social media, drop those questions and we'll try our best to get them in. And we want to give you guys what you want. So make sure if you have any questions or anything like that, man, let us know, man. It's a lot of fun for us. So
a lot of fun. And every Wednesday at 6 a.m. the show drops. We try our best to post it throughout the week. I did a terrible job of posting it this week, but I'll make sure I get back on it next week. And we're going to start off the show. There was a press conference this week, and we haven't had a chance to get Howie and Nick together as much. We didn't have a chance to get Coach Sirianni and am I saying that right? But yeah, and Howie together as much. And they had a press conference this week. And I wanted to know from you, your take about our new football coach and also some of the things that were said in the conference, his demeanor. Can we take him serious? Does he fit Philadelphia, right? Because it has to be a fit all across the board. I'm not, sometimes we get painted as, the doom and gloom city where a lot of people just want to, be negative and things like that. But there is a roll call and there's a protocol, so to speak, to being our coach, because we want someone that's like-minded to like the fans, right? You don't have to be a pessimist, but we want you to be realistic and not just throw random stuff out there like we can't pick it up. This is a knowledgeable fan base. And I don't know if the offering that Nick Sirianni put out there was well received by the fans. And I want to get your take on that.
Yeah, so that's a good question. To me, the city of Philadelphia, I'll put it like this. It's like a blue collar mentality, right? It's let's get our lunch pail, let's go to work, let's go out and grind, right? So that being said, at the press conference, it didn't come across like didn't come across as blue collar. I'm going to grind it out type of coach. Mm-hmm. Now, on the other hand, everything that we've been hearing now, and we can only go by what we've been hearing, everything that we've been hearing from Howie and other people around the league is that he's a ball guy, right? He's always focused on football, the game, talking the game. And, we want guys that are football players and that are gym rats and guys that just continually to strive to make themselves better. Mm-hmm. So that being said, if I can get past the press conference if he's willing to get in that grind. It's not an easy city to impress everyone.
Yeah.
And as you said, they know football in this area. Fans mm-hmm. know the game. They've been watching it since they were young. So they understand, the history of the sport in this area and what it takes to play and what it takes to coach in this area. So I think let's give him a little bit of time in terms of his press conferences. Maybe, he's just overly excited. Maybe it's something that he wasn't necessarily prepared for. It could be that he's just not really enjoying, like some people don't like the camera and answering questions through a camera. Mm-hmm. It could be a multitude of things. So I'm going to hold out my judgment on that just until I see him in action and see how he actually coaches and works with the players and what the product we see on the field.
Yeah. So this is not just his first press conference. And I agree with you, right? We got to reserve some judgment, for a moment in time, but this is his second press conference, right? And he's had the first one. The first one was leaving everyone with a sense of, wanting more and had more questions than, answers. In this past press conference, I kind of felt the same way. Now, I think it's a combination of a few things. When you are the head football coach, you have to learn how to deal with the media. And apparently he hadn't had that experience as a head coach, of course. And it seemed like he hadn't had the formal training to deal with the media and be able to be comfortable in those spaces, because he stutters a bunch during those meetings and in those press conferences. And he goes ramble brain a lot. So he's trying to come up with the next best thing to say, because as a coach, you have to protect the organization. You can't always speak freely. You have a sense of boundary around what you're saying. And I don't necessarily feel that he's mature enough in this area or experienced enough in this area to make us feel comfortable, because that's a feat in itself, to protect the organization but yet give the fans what they need to hear in order to have confidence in you. It's kind of serving two masters at one time, and I think that he's failing horribly at it because he's trying his best to refrain from saying certain things, which is causing him to stumble over his words and sound goofy rather than, the football coach with great insight and wisdom and understanding that we would like to hear. So he's going to get better at those things, but this is just press conference. We're not judging him, like you said, based on how well he speaks to the media, because there's a lot of people that just sit there and answer the press conferences like this. Yeah, no, my time's up. All I want to do is not get fined.
I'm just here.
I'm just here, so I won't get fined. Like, there's a lot of people that answer, and Bill Belichick is notorious for this. Coach Reid is notorious for answering as short as possible, not giving much information away, and you learn how to do that over the years. So, yes, if he's a ball guy, let him be a ball guy. I'm having a hard time trying to figure out how he's going to explain everything based on what he's given us during these press conferences, because I'm confused from his press conferences as a former player. And I'm thinking like, okay, if it's going to take, we don't have, 3 hours for you to explain, a meeting or a game breakdown or whatever it is. We don't have that much time. We got 40 minutes to install, and 40 minutes, you have to be efficient with your words so I can understand. And if I leave that meeting without understanding, that means that I'm going to leave that meeting making a lot of mistakes in practices, which means that we're going to be making mistakes in the game. And so I would like to see him get a little bit more efficient, but we're talking about a press conference. And yes, does he feel a little bit goofy, or I don't know. It's a little bit weird. He's just excited to get his first opportunity. That's what I think it is.
Yeah, and I think the toughest part of that was towards the end of the press conference, and when he kind of did take over and answered a couple questions, because I agree he was kind of all over the place. And I think that the one thing that worries me the most, and I pray that maybe it was just the nerves like we're talking about, but sometimes you can want to do so many different things, right? You can want to coach so many different things. You can want to put in so many different schemes, so many different blitzes and all that stuff, right? You can actually, they call it paralysis by analysis, right? That you can overexert yourself, you can overdo it, right? So what I'm hoping is that, we're not going into the personnel meetings thinking, okay, we need to find a scat back, and we got to find a power back, right? And then we got to find a 6'2" receiver, and then we got to find a short, the short, quick receiver, and then you got 11 picks, right? But before you know it, you're thinking about all these different picks, and you don't really have a plan in place of how to really build a team. So that's my only concern with it. And I do think, and I do believe that it was just he was excited and ready to get going, and possibly because I don't think they haven't been with the team yet, so possibly trying to talk to the players through the media and get them on board of what he wants to do and how excited he is to do it.
Yeah, so I agree. Yeah. And you know what, the thing that's kind of registering in my brain, Hugh, this is kind of registering in my brain. Based on what I've seen in these interviews, what did he say in the interview with Howie and the organization in order to get this job? Because it couldn't have been what we're hearing now, right? Because it was not this, right? It had to be X's and O's. It had to be going over formations and personnel and them leaving out saying, okay, this is our guy. From my perspective, I'm still questioning and I'm still trying to figure out, okay, is this the guy or not? So there has to be some type of transition that happens with the players. And I'm sure that his meeting that he had with the organization is going to sound more, is going to be more like that when it comes to the interaction with the players rather than with the media. Because with the media, you're always on edge a little bit because you're trying to, not say the wrong thing, because all it takes is the wrong phrase. You don't need a whole thought. You don't need a whole sentence. You just need the wrong phrase, or, you know, and it can be taken way out of perspective. So I'm still worried a little bit. But you know, it's early. And to piggyback on what you said, okay, so he talked about 11 personnel and 21 personnel and 12 personnel and 22. He talked about a lot of personnels. And for those that out there that don't know about, you know, because we have guys and I have people, you know, inboxing me on social media saying, hey, I like the way you guys explain football because I don't know about football and those things. When they're talking personnel, they're talking about how many running backs and how many tight ends or receivers that there is in the game at the same time. Now, Frank Wright and Nick, those guys are from, you know, that number system. And most of the time in the number systems, you're base 11 personnel. That's 3 receivers, 1 running back, and 1 tight end. And most teams in NFL are 11 personnel teams. And the thing that he talked about was his brother winning a state championship, you know, 2 different ways, and then losing the third time. In different personnels and learning how to adjust based on the talent that you have in these things. All of that sounds great, but there has to be a basis.
Yes.
And that's what you're saying, Q. You're saying, I don't want to make this too complicated for the guys. I need a basis, because the teams that know who they are the teams that consistently play well. Yes, you may get out schemed at a time or two, but most of the time, because you're going to make fewer mistakes in those personnels that you're comfortable with, in those defenses and coverages that you're comfortable with, in those blitz packages that you're comfortable with, and that you know where the weaknesses are. Therefore, you're able to cover those weaknesses because you faced every formation in that defense, right? So you know it better. When you have a bunch of personnels, a bunch of formations, a bunch of plays, it leaves guys scatterbrained and they don't know who they are, what they're meant to do. When you think of the Steelers, you think about running the football, you think about hard-nosed tackling, you think about all those things. And the reason the Steelers hasn't won lately is because they've gotten away from that. And
Yes.
that's what happens.
Yes. And so I think all in all, what we're saying is, I don't think he did a good job letting us know what his identity is as a coach. I mean, even talking in meetings, you know, he made the comment about getting all these ideas from the assistant coaches. And then, you know, he's looking at defense and, you know, scouting players on defense. And so I'm hoping that they get that, you know, nailed down really quick, because it seems like they still haven't figured out identity wise what they want. I know they're evaluating players right now, but it's tough to evaluate players when you don't really know what your identity as a group of coaches and a group of players that you want to bring into your locker room. So I'm like, again, I agree with you. I'm with you on that 100%. And maybe this is on purpose. I mean, maybe they're trying not to let people know exactly what their plans are, but it's not looking too good right now.
Right. Yeah. So, and just to give you guys an idea, based on what the Eagles draft in the first round is probably going to determine what kind of personnel we're going to be in, right?
Yeah.
Because if you draft Kyle Pitts, you're going to be a 12 personnel team. That means 2 tight ends on the field, because you still have one of the better tight ends in the league in Dallas Goedert. So you need the other guy on the field. If they draft Jamar Chase, you got Rager, you got Travis Fulgham, you got Greg. You're going to have more receivers on the field. And that's just the nature of the beast. Whoever they draft in the first round, especially if it's a skill position, is letting you know where they're going to be personnel wise. And that has to dictate what's going forward. Do you agree with that?
I do. Here's my question. What if they draft a quarterback? I keep hearing this, and I all the blog sites and all, I read all that stuff, and
you know what? So here's my thing. I didn't love the quarterback selection last year. I love the Jalen Hurts, right? Because I think that Jalen Hurts has value. Do I think that Jalen Hurts would have been there in the third round? Probably, right? And it could be second round, could be third round. You never know.
Yeah.
But there's so many other needs, right? We need a corner. We need a dominant rush in.
Yes.
We needed a receiver at the time. We haven't had a linebacker or safety that, and my man Jeff has said it today that, man, when was the last time we drafted a safety in the first 3 rounds? It was 2012 with Jaquan Jarrett.
That's crazy.
It's 2020. Right. So in the first 3 picks, 2012, like we haven't drafted a safety or line, like we need a linebacker as well. So there's a lot of positions that we need. Now I'm glad because Jalen Hurts panned out. I think Jalen Hurts is going to pan out, but we'll see if they draft one in the first round, man. If they draft a quarterback in the first round, I think the city would turn themselves upside down. I really do. I think we would have a riot. Right in front of Novacare Complex.
I wouldn't doubt it, man. I wouldn't doubt it.
You know, things like that. I don't know. I think that if Jamar Chase or Kyle Pitts is there, you have to take them. Unless the tackle from Northwestern or Washington.
Sewell.
Yeah, that's it. So if it's not them 4 players that are being, and I would love, and I say that wrong. Give me 5 or 6. I'm giving you 6. I give you 6 opportunities, right? I can take Farley. I can take, you know, Surtain, right?
Yeah.
I can take Kyle Pitts or Jamar Chase or
Parsons.
Or the guy from Washington or Northwestern. I can't remember the guy from Northwestern's name, but he's a left tackle.
Okay.
So it's 2 left tackles, 2 corners, and 2 weapons on offense. That's it. If you draft a linebacker or a safety or something like that, like, yeah.
Well, I mean, Parsons is good. Like he's legit. But I agree with you on that. I'm good. I'm good with those picks. Any of those picks, I'm good with. Right? You said 2 tackles.
Yep, 2 tackles.
Or two Pitts. Or any of the 2 top receivers at that spot,
or 2 top corners, 2
or 2 top corners. Yes,
yeah, that's it.
I'm on board with that, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and I said Devontae. I think Devontae Smith is going to be successful. I just don't know if it's the right fit in our system. I just think that we have too many guys like him, and I don't think that we have a guy like Jamar Chase, right? So even though he's short, but he's bulky, he's a faster Anquan Bolden. That's what he is, right? So, and he's powerful. He breaks tackles. He has dog, like, you know. So, I think he's a little bit different. But if all of them are there, I'm taking Kyle Pitts.
Yes, I agree.
If all of them there, I'm taking him because I think that he may be the overall best prospect in the entire draft.
Yes.
Will he go first? No, but I think he's the best prospect in the draft. When you are that big and you can run a 4.4,
and he runs his route tree, like he can literally run.
He's a receiver.
Every route. Yeah.
He's a receiver with a big body.
Yep.
He was a receiver and the matchup nightmare.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't imagine. I mean, you know, the only guy that I could think of that played safety, I mean, that I played against that safety that was that athletically gifted was probably Vernon Davis.
Yeah. Vernon.
And he couldn't move like that. Like he was a guy that he was a straight line player. Like he had a little bit, but nothing like I've seen from Kyle Pitts. So
yeah, he can dance on you and do all that stuff. It's like he's a faster Travis Kelce, right? Ooh. Isn't that funny? And that's what he is. He's a faster one. Like and that's scary.
Yeah,
that's scary. Like, can you imagine that? The only thing that can stop him is injury. Like, and you just pray that he stays healthy because he will go down as one of the greats. You know, that's and when you have a guy like that in grasp where you know, okay, this guy's not going to fail barring injury, I'm taking him.
Yes.
Like, forget all the experiments. Forget I'm trying to prove that I'm smarter than everybody. Forget all of that, right? Everybody knows he's good. You're in position to get a good player. Pick the player that you know is good. And if he gets there, like, I'm taking him. That's just it. So there was other big news this week. There was other big news, and we're going to talk about a position that we don't talk about. It's your position.
Yes,
we drafted Anthony Harris out of the Minnesota Vikings, from the Minnesota Vikings, a free agent. And we talked about him briefly last week, and he wasn't one of my picks for them to take. Mine was more the kid from Indianapolis. But that didn't
Hooker.
happen. Yeah, Malik Hooker. But that didn't happen. So the Eagles can't afford much. I think we have $3 million left on under the salary cap. So we can't afford much. We're dealing with we need guys to restructure and a lot of help in order for us to get our roster better. And our roster won't be better this year. Hopefully we can get some good picks in the draft and we can have some guys play out of their mind that are not that talented. But with that being said, what have you seen from Anthony Harris, seeing as your position, your position?
So when I watch his tape, at first I was going into it because it's a 1-year deal. I'm like, okay, he's 29 years old, he's on a 1-year deal. Like, I'm like, okay, maybe, I'm thinking he's coming from special teams. Maybe he's not really that good of a player. But after I watched his tape, he's exactly what we need in the secondary right now. And I say that, like, he's not going to wow you with speed and coming and blowing plays up and all that. But what he does well, in my opinion, is he's in the right spot all the time. He's where he needs to be. He's dependable. He doesn't get hurt. He's a guy that can go in the back in that secondary and not screw up and, blow a coverage, let someone behind him, right? Or you got a young safety that's across from him, which may be the case with Kayvon, if Rodney is still recovering from his ACL surgery. So it could be a situation where he might need to be coaching Kayvon back there, right? So I like the signing. I think money-wise it makes sense. I think health-wise it makes sense. And I think that he's actually going to help the secondary. Watching some of the tape when he was in Minnesota, they played a lot of cover 2, a lot of cover 1. I was actually surprised by this. He was playing deep a lot more than Harrison.
It's Harrison Smith. Yeah,
Harrison Smith.
That surprised me as well because Harrison Smith has way more range. But go ahead.
Right. Yeah, and so in my opinion, I think the reason why is because I do think that Harrison Smith is more aggressive in terms of tackling and finding the ball.
Yeah.
So that my only drawback on Harrison is that he's not really aggressive tackler, but Anthony I'm okay. Harris. Just make sure we're not getting balls thrown over our head for touchdowns.
Yeah. And that's what go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
And then my last part is I like him when he does come in the box and they send him on blitzes. He's actually a fairly good blitzer. He can get to the ball. He can make some plays. So
those two things don't make sense to me because I see him timid at the point of attack, but he does blitz okay, right? Yeah. He's not the greatest at blitzing, but he's good. Yes. But he's not blowing you up. There is nothing that jumped off the tape to me said we have an enforcer. And now is Rodney McLeod an enforcer? Right? He can. I think Rodney's way more physical than Anthony Harris is.
Yes, I agree. Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. So now you're dealing with yes, you're going to have a guy in the back end, unlike Jalen this year, trying to learn safety that's at the wrong spot, at the wrong time, or missing an angle on the tackle. I don't see him, missing angles on tackle. He's going to fit in the right place, know where he needs to be. Yes. But is he physical enough to get it accomplished? Does he have that, I'm a ball guy mentality? And those are the things that you think of when I think of Anthony Harris. Yes, he's an older player, quote unquote, but 29, you're still in your prime. I don't think that you get old until you get to about 33. Yes. That's just me. I'm a little bit later than most, the GMs think, okay, once you get 30, I get you out of the league. But I think that I'm trying to figure out how this is going to marry, because now you got a 4.6 guy, right? Like, so combine, many years ago, he ran a 4.57. So at this point in his career, he's a 4.6, right? Yeah. You can just assume those things. So he's on the post. So will he be able to get to everything? The good thing is that he has very good ball skills. He has very good ball skills. He didn't get interceptions last year, but the ones that he's had in years, he's made some plays. It wasn't just, okay, and this is the way I judge it, Q. There's some guys that can get the ball tipped to him, right? and everybody can make that play where the ball is tipped by a linebacker and somebody jump up and he just run right under. It's like perfect, hit him right in the hands. Right. And then there's guys that are running and tracking and making a play on the ball. He's running and tracking and making plays on the football. So you love to see that. And he's picked off some good ones too. It's not like he's picking off, Jonathan Osweiler or
Drew Brees,
Drew Brees,
Wilson.
Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. He's picking off some good players. So that lets me know that he has the tact, because in order to pick off the good ones, you can't be staring at them. You got to be able to looking away like you're going somewhere else and be able to come back to it. You have to have a certain amount of wisdom to be able to pick off the Wilsons and Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees. They're just not throwing you the ball. You making a play on the ball in order to get them.
Yes. And then I want to go back to your point about, so the way you fix your deficiencies in speed wise, and this is the reason why I said what I said earlier, like the reason why I like this pickup is because I feel like he knows that he's not the fastest guy. Right. So, but he's always in the right position. Like if he's in the cover 2 and he's supposed to show and rock and roll to the opposite hash, he's going to get there. And he knows, okay, I'm not the fastest guy. That's Ted Ginn over there. I know I got to get where I got to get to. Right. So I'm okay with his deficiency speed wise, as long as he continues to play smart and intelligent like he did in Minnesota. And, the coming up for making tackles again, like I agree. I would love to see more physicality out of him. And I think being in this league, we're going to need that, but, or being in this division, sorry. But I do think I think he's a perfect fit for this secondary right now at this point in time.
It's coming from the safety extraordinaire himself. So I'm going to take it for gospel right now, because we can use some positivity in the secondary, right? So we can use some positivity. But I'm very, very interested to see how he's going to marry with Rodney McLeod and how Kayvon Wallace develops, right? I know Epps is there, but I think that they're grooming Wallace to be a player. He had some horrific angles last year, and just eyes in the bad place. At times, I can remember the Dallas play where the running back was right in front of him, but he veered off to take on the block of a receiver. I'm like, no, go shoot, make the play, things like that. But I do know that he has the talent to do it, and we'll see, because I think, and here's my problem with, you love the signing. I'm indifferent about the signing. Here's why I'm indifferent about the signing. Because I feel that him, McLeod, and Wallace are too close of the same type of player. All right. They're not the same type of player, but they're the same body type, the same speed. They do certain things well, but it's not like when you're getting a free safety that's going to make your team better. I'm thinking of a guy that can cover some ground, and that's what I like in a free safety. Yes, I love his ball skills, but I want something that's going to be unique to a free safety position. Not necessarily I can put him at strong, I can put Wallace at strong, I can put I want some variety, and I don't necessarily know that he gives us variety at the position. I think him, Epps, all those guys. Epps is a little bit faster, but they're pretty similar.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. But at the same time, I'm thinking, just looking at this draft class.
Okay,
I don't really see a free safety or strong safety that's really that guy. I mean, I don't see Jamal Adams. I don't see, I keep going back, aging myself, but I don't see Ed Reed. I don't see Palomalu. I don't see a guy that's we need him in the first round. We need him in the second round. So it's tough for me. And so knowing that, and then knowing how our cap situation is, and then on top of that, safety wise, there's not a lot of guys available. So
it made sense.
It made sense, right? Yeah. And so I'm okay with that. And couple that with the fact that, remember now, with him as a vet, right, installing a new system, him being able to study a new system, he'll be able to create I want to say a highlight reel, so to speak, of the correct way to do stuff maybe next year when they draft the safety and he comes in, he'll have a year's worth of tape to study how to do it the right way, how to drop in the cover 2, how to, rock and roll to a cover 3. So I'm hoping that that's the case, and maybe it's not this year, but maybe we use this year as let's get that secondary discipline, right? Let's get those guys back to playing with good eyes. Let's get those guys back to reading the right keys. And then we can use that to coach the younger guys. So I'm hoping that's how it works out. And on top of it, hey, you're 29 years old, you signed a 1-year deal.
Proving it.
Prove it. Get ball out and then come back next year and get another one. You know,
because the reason he has this 1-year deal is because in 2018-19, right? 2019, he had 6 interceptions and he goes to the Pro Bowl and he's picking off some good players. And in 2020, he has 0. Like, how do you go from and sometimes, like, to me, sometimes picks come in, they, like we say, catches come in bunches, picks come in bunches. And when you get that momentum, the ball just seems to find you. So some years it's just, happenstance or luck or whatever you want to call it. But in other times, most of the time when you're a ball hawk type of a guy, which a lot of people put him in the ball hawk category after that year of 2019, 2018 through 2019, I don't know if people put him in that category after having 0, because it's kind of hard for somebody to go an entire season without a pick or an opportunity to get a pick.
Yeah. I think the ball hawk thing, I think sometimes it can be prematurely, placed on somebody, right?
Okay.
To be a ball hawk, you got to do that consistently. They say, when you make the Pro Bowl, it's always not the year you have the great year. It's the second year, right? It's the second year that because the first year, they're like, all right, let's see you do it again, right? And so I think that's a little bit of what happened. He had the great year. There were a couple overthrows, couple tips, but he was making plays on the ball, right? Then you come to the next year and, hey, he's a ball hawk, but then he doesn't do it. And a lot of that can be attributed to a lot of different things. Could be, scheme, and, maybe the year before he was playing more where Harrison's playing, maybe this year, because I wasn't able to go back to the year he had all the picks.
Yeah, the biggest thing is that their front was getting more pressure, right? Yeah. So the year before they were like leading the league and not leading the league, but one of the top teams in the league in sacks with Griffithson and Don.
That's right.
And and the big guy inside was a Limbaugh. Joseph. So they had a good system going, and this year they weren't able to get the same pass rush. Therefore, their defense suffered a little bit. But
good point.
And David Rose was playing good then. He was not playing good. Well, not this year, but a couple years ago. So there's a lot of things that could have contributed to it. But it's still a little bit suspect. The verdict is still out on that. So we'll see if we but I tell you this, the Eagles, we didn't get a bunch of picks at all.
For real.
Like, we were last. Like, we were last. When it comes to interceptions. And
I'll take half of what he had in 19.
Exactly, right? So the Eagles, we haven't been turning the ball over, and especially interceptions. We paid some guys that D. Slay got, a big contract. And he's sticking more people in man-to-man than he's had to, even though he's a man-to-man follow guy, but he can play off in Detroit sometimes, and that's where you get your picks. You get your picks. Can you tell him, Q, that you get your picks when you play off coverage, when you're looking at the quarterback? It's very, very hard to get picks when you pressed up man-to-man because you're late locating the ball. But when you can see the quarterback release the ball, your chance of getting the pick is much higher.
Exactly. I always go back to Asante Samuel when he was here. The guy hated, and people don't know this. Asante was great in press. He was great in press. He had really good feet. He could jam you, but he didn't like to do it because he was all about getting them picks.
Getting that money.
That money, yep.
He's like,
And
man,
so,
they don't pay you to be a press. Like,
they pay you for interceptions, right? That's what he
interceptions.
said. He
Like,
used to say
I'm going to the
that.
Hall of Fame, man. I ain't got time. They looking at Hall of Fame resume. They looking for interceptions. They ain't trying to figure out if he followed you around the field. There's no such stat.
Right. And that's I'm transitioning to another thing right now because it made me think of it is Adoree Jackson, right? We were trying to get him to sign. We couldn't have afforded him.
Couldn't afford him. Not with what Giants paid him. Oh my goodness, the Giants just shove money in people's face.
Well, I think it depends on because at first, when I first started thinking about Adoree, and I don't like to talk about team players on other teams unless we're going to try to exploit them. Yeah. But so to me, Adoree, watching his tape, like he's the opposite of that. He was better in press. Yeah. And he was better playing closer to his players. Even though he has great speed, when he played off, he was getting routed left and right. Yeah. And so I think in the Giants scheme, that was actually a bad pickup for them. I think he would have been better in the Eagles scheme from what I'm seeing so far. Yeah. From Minnesota and a little bit of Indianapolis, he would have been better in this scheme than he would have been in New York.
Yeah, just because, and that's the difference, to the fans out there. You can have a good corner, and very rarely do you have a good corner or safety that's good at multiple things. All right, so they usually have a strength, and the coach highlights their strength. But you get them away from a particular strength, and it's kind of a liability in another area. That's what makes, Jalen Ramsey so good is because he can do a bunch. He can cover multiple body types. You get like Adoree Jackson that's really, really fast, but he goes for every fake. And that's the thing that I seen on tape. He goes for every fake. And when a guy goes for every fake, he's going to feel comfortable with you right in front of him where you don't have an opportunity to do fakes. He's going to try to speed you up, make you rush so you don't have that opportunity to do that fake. And but I think I would have loved to seen a Ty Hill pickup. We talked about that last time. Somebody that could, like, I don't know what the Rams are teaching. I don't know what the Rams are teaching. But I remember being on the Eagles staff this year, watching the Rams DB, and I left. We played them early in the season. I left watching the tape saying, this is the best DBs like I've seen on tape. Now, I'm not saying they're the best DBs in the league, but I said, this is the best DB tape that I've seen in a long time, where I left the tape saying, like, they're going to get a pick or two on us. So I left. I'm like, they're going to get a pick or two on us because these dudes play off better than anyone. And I'm trying to figure out who's the coach over there and why he isn't being interviewed for a defense coordinator. Because if you can get guys to play off that well and play, man, like they're good at man, but they're exceptional off, like, whatever they're teaching over there is great because what's the kid that had the pick? Darius Williams. Darius Williams was in Washington. He got cut from Washington, went out there. So somebody didn't value him in Washington. But whoever the DB coach was in LA saw something in him, and the boy is balling, almost led the league in picks last year. So those are the types of, the things that I think about. Okay, why isn't this guy a defense coordinator somewhere, or why isn't he moving up really fast, or why the Eagles don't have him on the staff? Because after watching that tape, I'm like, whoever the DB coach is, that's who I want on my staff. Yeah.
Well, and I do think that the Eagles have a very good DB coach. Denard Wilson, he was my, it's funny how the league goes. When I was in St. Louis, my last year there with Jeff Fisher, he was on the staff. He was the assistant DB's coach with Blake Williams, who was I'm sorry, not Blake. Chuck. I'm blanking him right now. Chuck.
Defense coordinator?
No. So that year was the year that Greg Williams got suspended.
Okay, yeah.
So his son Blake Williams basically stepped in, but it ended up being like a collaborative effort between Jeff Fisher and Coach McGinnis and Blake. But Denard was our Chuck Cecil. Sorry, Chuck Cecil was our defensive backs coach, and then Denard was our assistant coach. But Denard was a great coach, right? He's now the Eagles secondary coach, so they're going to be in good hands in that secondary. He was with the Jets last couple of years, Coach Jamal Williams. Very good coach. So I think they're going to be in very good hands with the secondary. He's been around because my last year in St. Louis was when Rodney McLeod came in, Tremaine Johnson came in, good cornerback, played for the Jets as well. Janoris Jenkins. So like remade the entire secondary, and a lot of those guys are still playing. They played at a high level. They made it to Pro Bowls, and he was key in developing a lot of those guys when they came in because they were all rookies. They all came in together. So I do think the secondary is in good hands. I think Denard's going to do a great job with them. So I'm actually not too worried about it.
Now, question for you though. So because we kind of skipped this. Jonathan Gannon, defensive coordinator. Tell me about his defense. What are we expecting? Because we haven't really touched this topic. We know that Schwartz is going to be, this past couple of years, he was a manaholic and let the defensive line get after you. We know that he doesn't like the blitz, and he likes to play stick defense on certain downs, right? And it's very, very easy to get. For some reason, in Schwartz defense, is always easy to gain the edge with misdirection. So if you run a reverse, if you run a counter or something like that, you're going to be successful. That's right. So what are we expecting from Jonathan Gannon?
Well, so I wanted to go back on why I saw what I saw and what I think you saw with why the Rams secondary is so good. Mm-hmm. I agree with you 100%. They play well off. They play well press. They also disguise. And to me, that's something that's really kind of been lost in the league. You can't just line up. And that's what I think the Eagles last year and years before struggled with. You can't just line up in a defense. If quarterbacks study tape all day, they're smart guys. Like you can't just line up in the cover one and expect them not to know what you're in. So I do think that what the Rams did very well is they'll muddy up looks. They'll make it look like cover 2 and then it'll be cover 3. They'll make it look like quarters and it'll be Tampa. So that's what I think that is successful long-term in the league. Now looking at Coach Gannon, I'm a little bit confused because he was under Zimmerman in Minnesota for a few years. So looking at that, I'm thinking it's going to be that type of defense, 4-3, zone blitz, different looks, moving around type of looks. But then I go to last year watching the Colts, right? He was with the Colts last year, and I see more of a Tampa 2, like a corners in the flats, deep cover 2s, read and react, get on the play.
That was a good defense.
I'm fine. Though. Yeah, I'm fine with both of those. I love Tampa 2. I love the 4-3 Zimmerman type of defense. So either way, I'm happy. I just want to see the secondary playing smarter. I want to see different looks. I want to see them moving around. I want to see them communicating with each other. Yeah. And I just want to see a little bit more energy pre-snap, right? A little bit more movement pre-snap. Let's not make it easy on the other team. Let's not make it. And as you know, as a receiver, right? If a cornerback is lining up and 7 yards off, single high safety, you already know what the coverage is as well, right?
That's it. It's only a few. Right. It's only a few. So I'm thinking this man. I'm thinking this cover 3. If he's a little shaded outside, I may think that he's It's not much, right? So here's the thing. If he's going to do cover 2, I think people like to get in cover 2, but the teams that have been historically good at cover 2 defense, and let's name them. All right. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers won a Super Bowl in cover 2. The Chicago Bears got to a Super Bowl in cover 2. Besides those two teams, there's not many great teams that play. There's people that get in cover 2, but there's not many teams that perfect it. And the thing that makes it special is the players and their mentality. And I don't necessarily know if we have that physical, because cover 2 is all about not allowing you to get up the field from a receiver standpoint, get up the field as fast, right? And it's forcing you to run the football. What they're saying in cover 2 is that my 4 can stop your 5 or 6 that are coming up, right? Yes. And you have to have enough physicality on the outside. I don't necessarily know if we have the corners that are built like in order to be like the Patrick Tillman or you know, the Rondé Barber, like a short pit bull that's going to get in somebody's chest, right? And I don't necessarily know if we have the nickel. The most important position to me, one of the two most important positions in cover 2 is the will and the might, right?
Yes.
Because the will got to fill that B gap backside, right? So, and that's a big task, right? A nickel position, you have to go in and he's responsible for that gap. So you have to be physical and you got to be able to read and react. And I don't necessarily know if we have the players for that. So I'm thinking, just based on me and just thinking about football, I'm thinking, okay, we're going to be more so what Zimmerman's doing and just playing it straight and then maybe getting cover 2 in situations, but not necessarily doing what Indianapolis Colts were doing.
Yeah. And I agree. We don't have, you know, that's what the draft's for. Hopefully, you know, draft wise, we get some guys that can play, and I'm sure they're putting together a system and guys that they like. And, but I agree with you 100%. It has to be a change up situation. It has to be, you know, third and long, or situations where we know that they typically want to, you know, nice, easy passes to the flat or whatever. So I do agree with you 100%. It's got to be in the right situation. And either way, I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see, you know what I mean? Because it's almost like, I love Coach Schwartz. I have a lot of respect for him, done a lot of great things. But it's almost like at the beginning of the season, the last few years, it's like you just know what it's going to be like.
What's going to be? You know, it's going to be rush 4. Never blitz anybody.
You know, right? And you know, and it's like I'm from a different era where it was like, you know, you got different looks, you got blitzes, you got, you know, and it was just fun to watch. And nothing to be said about that type of football, you know, but it's like, I want to see that creativity, man. I want to see some new stuff, some stuff I haven't thought of before. So,
and you're correct. What happens is that the lower tier quarterbacks will play better against you and against the Eagles because they're seeing the standard as you draw it on the board coverage.
Yes.
All right. The safety's in the middle. The strong safety is right here. The other guys are just straight, right? So when you put it up like that, these guys have been doing football since Pop Warner, and most people can inoculate that, right? They can break that down and be able to just pick that apart. So you see guys like Jared Goff, or you see guys like Stafford, or different guys that are just middle of the tier guys, but they end up looking like a top 5 guy against the Birds because it's so simple to just counteract. So I would love to see some window dressing, because window dressing make you think for a half of a second. And
that's all you need.
Is a second on the play clock. And a half of a second is you know how fast, you know how far I can run in a half of a second? Like, you know what I mean? Just think about that. Like, I can get 5 yards, you know, basically almost in a half of a second.
Yeah.
That's just the truth, right? So if you can slow a guy down or gain some advantage, I'm a little bit closer, I can get a tip ball, whatever it may be, you're winning in that situation. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to see what the defense is given, and I'm hoping, I doubt if they do it, but I'm hoping they get Surtain. I think that makes everyone's life easier, because now you can roll the dice.
Yes.
2 guys that can cover, and they line up in a personnel that's advantageous for you to do it, right? You're saying, you know what, my corners can hold up. I can go 0 blitz. My corners can hold up. I can rush 5. Who would have thought that you can rush 5 in football?
What? All right.
Be sick. Because my corners can hold up. And to be fair to Jim Schwartz, and I love Jim Schwartz as a person, right? To be fair to him, to just be 100. 2020, 2019, 2018, he's been playing with less.
Yes.
Like, and that's just the truth. Everybody that want to hog, that wants to talk about him and all this stuff, Jim Schwartz has been playing behind the 8 ball. Yes, you have Fletcher Cox, that's an anchor. Yes, you have Brandon Graham. You have all of these guys. They have names, but Fletch is the only one that's consistently playing at a Pro Bowl level on the defense.
Yes.
He's the only one that's consistently playing on a Pro Bowl level on the defense. So you have one Pro Bowl player on the defense for the last basically 3 years.
Yes, 100%. And that's it right there.
Am I saying right? So you have one Pro Bowl caliber player on your defense, and then you have corners by committee. We had Chandon Sullivan out there. We had Cravon out there. We had, guys that we've never heard of out there by committee. Sidney Jones. Like, we had a bunch of guys out there. And when you have a bunch of guys that don't have confidence, that don't know a scheme, you have to line up and play vanilla football. So maybe some of his creativity was kind of thrown away and done away with because he's had a revolving door in the secondary. So we'll see. Yeah. And I think that could be true as well. We'll see if Jonathan Gannon can overcome and get some talent so they can be able to be more complex on defense. We'll see how that goes, though.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it, man.
Let's take a brief break and we're going to get back. We're going to come back with our top 10 and then we're going to get out of here. But this break is brought to you by Launch Trampoline Park. Come back to Launch Trampoline Park in Deptford, New Jersey. We have rock climbing, we have laser tag, we have indoor playground, dodgeball, basketball, a full arcade, a full kitchen. We have birthday parties, and we will make sure that we treat your family right. I'll be serving the cake and the pizza, and I'll be having the muscles popping for all the ladies out there. No, I'm just joking. Let me stop. But it's a good time at Launch Trampoline Park, and we're located right behind the Olive Garden in the Deptford courts at Deptford in Deptford, New Jersey. And come and join us. Q, do you want to shout out Clearview High School, the defensive coordinator? We stand there.
Hey, man.
The defense coordinator ready to start this thing up.
I'm getting excited, man. Clearview High School, it's going to be a fun time. We're getting ready to get geared up. And officially, we're still in, we're not allowed to really I don't want to break any rules and stuff. But playbook's all done. Working on the offense, just excited, man. So good times, got some good things coming up. And if you go, I think my Facebook is open, is open. Quintin Mikell on Facebook. We're doing a fundraiser for the local high school for Clearview football.
Nice.
It's a Yeti cooler. But we bought a cooler. A bunch of guys donated some grown-up drinks for it. Hop on in, Venmo your money to the Booster Club if you want to help and try to win. And listen, man, nothing wrong with getting a brand new Yeti cooler full of some fun bottles. We'll put it that way.
Some fun bottle. Buy you a drink.
So yes, sir.
Clearview High School defensive coordinator. Check them out. I got to come out to a game, Mullica Hill, New Jersey. I got to come out there. I have to come out
right on the sidelines with me, man. Come hang out.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right.
Yo, we're back. This is Jason Avant. I got my man Quintin Mikell. This is the Q&A show, and we're back from break. We're going to discuss on this second part of the episode some questions from our fans. And one of those questions was, who are the top 10 current quarterbacks according to us? And then they asked the spinoff question, which one of the young ones will be great? And top 10 current. So we're gonna like specify what we're going to break down here. So the way I based it off, what I based it off of is accuracy, touchdown interception ratio, and then winning. I think that you can't just say it's the guy that's the MVP, because the guy that's the MVP is Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers did not win the Super Bowl. Same way with Giannis. Giannis has won the MVP the last 2 years, but he's terrible in the playoffs, right? Because everyone is up on his game. So I think it's about who's a winner as well. So when I think about all of those things, my top 5 will look like this. The GOAT is going to be the GOAT. And I say the GOAT loosely because I still think that Joe Montana is the best quarterback that ever played this game. But barring Joe Montana, I think that Tom Brady is the best quarterback of my era and of this era, and will go down as one of the best players to ever play. And until you can figure out a way to dethrone him, yes, I know Aaron throws cute passes. I know Patrick Mahomes can throw the ball sidearm, blindfolded, and sideways, and all those things. But until you can knock this 43-year-old man off the totem pole, I'm going to continue to put him number one. And I think he deserves it. And I think anybody else that speaks against that is totally wrong. Now, does the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a complete team? Yes. Is Tom Brady benefiting from a complete team? Yes. But Tom Brady is still, to me, the best quarterback in the National Football League. He does the things right. He rarely puts the ball in harm's way, and he's a baller when it counts. You can't ask for any more than that. Just think about the demeanor that he's changed. Like, he's changed the whole culture of a program. And now the Patriot way that used to be the Patriot way is the Buccaneer way, because they have Tom Brady. He is the way, right? And that's just it. I'm not saying he's Jesus, but he's dope. And he's number one to me. So Tom Brady not only is that, but he's still high up there. He's still completing 66% of his passes. He's still got a 7-to-1 touchdown and an interception ratio, right? So he's still balling. He's still doing his thing. And they won Super Bowl, so he's a winner. That's me. So that's my number one. And I know I'm long-winded, right, when it comes to these things. Second to me is Patrick Mahomes. Now, the reason I put Patrick Mahomes over Aaron Rodgers is a certified baller. He is. He can play. He can make any throw. He holds the ball long, and he. You know what? He manipulates the pocket. But when it comes to sheer competitiveness, I don't know if I know a more competitive person in the National Football League besides Tom Brady. The next most competitive person is Patrick Mahomes. And you can even tell that in the Super Bowl. When this team was down and his offensive line was not blocking and his receivers was not catching, he was still giving them an opportunity to come back in that game or to get something happen. Just think about the time where he was rolling out to the right and the guy tripped his foot and he literally horizontal to the ground, flings the ball, hit the guy right in the hands. The guy drops it. But that's just a valiant, great effort by one person. And I just love the kid. You never think that they're out of a game because the kid's there. And yes, he has weapons. Yes, he has all of those things, but he has an amazing arm talent. And he's getting my coach some Super Bowls. He's gonna get another one for sure.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna go 3, Q, and I'm gonna let you get in there because I'll keep going. Let me go 3, and then we can come back to the other part of it. So, okay. And then here's the controversy. So I got Brady at number 1. I have Mahomes at number 2. I'm going Russell Wilson at number 3 over Aaron Rodgers. I'm going Russell Wilson. Yes, I said it. I'm going Russell Wilson over Aaron Rodgers. Okay. I'm going to tell you why. Because the same Russell Wilson doesn't have a Bakhtiari, right? He didn't have a tackle that's making $23 million a year. He doesn't have that, right? He has some good players, but his offensive line is not playing well. But he comes up with a way to keep his team in the game every game. He's playing with a 5'6" receiver that he has balling because he puts the ball in great spots. Mm-hmm. He's working with, and everyone loves the DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf is limited, ladies and gentlemen. He runs fast. He does. And he's big. But if you can stop DK Metcalf from running 2 or 3 routes, you can cover him. He's limited. And he depends on a lot of jump balls and things of that nature. And the perfect person for touch passes is Russell Wilson. Talking about a moonshot ball, that's Russell Wilson. Yeah. Still 7-to-1 ratio, still was in the MVP conversation last year. And he is willing his team to the playoffs each and every year. Just think about it. There's no Richard Sherman. There's no Legion of Boom defense. The team is gone that was there at the Super Bowl. they pay him the money and they still make the playoffs every year because he's a baller. Now, Aaron Rodgers deserves the same respect. So, but Aaron Rodgers is 4 for me, but I'm gonna let you go.
Okay. All right. Let's see. So my number one quarterback, and I have to admit, I slightly have him above Joe Montana, only because he just won his 7th Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And he won it with a different team.
7.
That's that is insane, right? Tom Brady's amazing, right? To me, he's the greatest, just slightly, because I still love Joe Montana and everything he did for the game. So I got Tom Brady slightly. So he's my number one. Talk about a guy defensively, looking at him and have played against him. You have 2.5 seconds to get to him, or it's a completion, or you have no chance. I mean, the guy is phenomenal. And, a lot of people talk about Peyton Manning and how intelligent he was and all the stuff he did. Tom Brady was just as good, or I say he still is just as good at manipulating the defense, at knowing exactly what you are. And to me, honestly, I mean, when I think about it, name me one Hall of Fame receiver that Tom Brady's ever had besides Randy Moss, right?
Gronk.
Gronk, yeah. He was tight. He beat tight end. So he did more with way less than any other quarterback I've ever seen. So to me, Tom Brady is number one. The guy's phenomenal. My number two. So I'm not gonna put I like Mahomes. I'm not gonna put him there just yet, only because
I respect it.
He's still got to show some more stuff. Okay, my number two in mine is a recently retired Drew Brees, and I say that because as a player playing against him, the guy was phenomenal, and I think he's very underrated as a cerebral type of quarterback as well. Mm-hmm. He didn't have great arm strength. He never had great arm strength. Wasn't very mobile, but he was a fighter. He was a great leader, and
accurate.
He was very accurate. And he just had a way of, if you're playing in the middle post on him, he just had a way of just moving you, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like, I know he's going to try to throw this seam. I know he's going to try to throw this seam. But for some reason, he just does something, and he gets you off that middle post, and then he throws a seam, and you're all the way over there. And I'm like, I know it, right? So to me, he's number two. Just phenomenal player. I know his career didn't end the way he wanted to, but. And then my number three is Russell Wilson. I had to put him. I mean, I agree with everything you said. He's done way more with way less. He's a great competitor, which I don't think people give him enough credit for.
Yeah.
He doesn't give up on any play, no matter how bad it looks. If you're covering in the secondary and you hear, don't be looking thinking it's a sack. You better find the closest receiver and lock on him, because you end up getting embarrassed. And he's just one of my favorite players, one of the most respected people in the league. And so that's my top three right there.
Oh my goodness! All right, so I'm gonna go. And we vary a little bit. So I took Drew Brees out because he retired. Yeah. But he would definitely be in my top 7. And then you start getting into some of the other guys. So now you're getting Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers can be anywhere between 1 and 4. Yes. Most people he's going to be between 1 and 3 or 1 and 2. Aaron Rodgers does everything really well. I think that Aaron plays backyard football just as good as anybody. Him and Russell Wilson can play backyard football. Patrick Mahomes is good at backyard football. Tom Brady's not good at backyard football, but he gets more results. Yes. So then you begin to realize, okay, is backyard football just exciting football? Is it just like running around and going zigzagging like on Tecmo Bowl, or playing with Michael Vick and Madden back in the day? Like, is it just that, like playing backyard football, and then this drop back quarterback that just knows the game and is executing at a high level? That's actually the standard. And it's letting me know that we're teaching our kids the wrong way. Yes, we have all of these dynamic playmakers, but if it's not resulting in championships, what is the value in it? So Aaron Rodgers is a great backyard player. He has great accuracy. He's great at off time. I respect Aaron Rodgers because him and Russell Wilson in particular are great at off time throws. I respect it because it's hard. And it's very, very hard for a defender because a defender will stick you in practice and you start shaking and doing something. They'd be like, man, the quarterback ain't doing all that. You covered, right? And that's how defender thinks. The thing's like, man, we took way too long. The quarterback off of you. And
that ain't no real route,
right? That's it. Like, dang, what you doing? You go there doing the cabbage patch. That's no real route, right? So, and for Devontae Adams to have the freedom to do that stuff, for Doug Baldwin back in his day to be able to have the freedom to do it, and Tyler Lockett to be able to have the freedom to do those things, Travis Kelce will dance on you. That's because those guys can play off time, and it takes a special quarterback to do it, and I respect Aaron Rodgers for that. And he's been consistent. He's been the reason, just like Russell Wilson. I think those two players are the same player. One is black, one is white, but I think both of them are like pretty much the same player to me. Both of them can make all the throws. One's just a little bit taller than the other one. Both of them are cooler than cucumbers, but both of those players to me are to me the same player almost. So after that, let me get to this list. If we base it on 2020, we base it on career.
I think we got to go career.
Oh,
right?
No, I want to go 2020.
Because
I'm gonna spice this
our
up.
show. You do it how you want to do, man. Let's
go.
Well,
you go career. I'm gonna go 2020. And if you go 2020, ladies and gentlemen, I know a lot of people were talking about Carson and talking about Dak and talking about Baker and all of these other guys. You go 2020. You know who the fifth best quarterback would be on my list? It's Josh Allen.
Ooh, yes, sir.
Listen, that man can throw the ball through you. He can. He got a hose like a gat, 80-yard can throw the ball. He has a very, very strong arm, and he's fairly accurate. And then he has the leg element, right? That's what Aaron has, and that's what Russell has. But they scramble to make a play down the field. Josh Allen's trying to score a touchdown. He's the version. He's trying to get to the crib like Lamar and Deshaun, right? Yeah. So he's trying to get to the house, and he's fast and he's mobile. And now that he has Stephon Diggs, man, like he's
great
tough. He had a great year. Josh Allen had a great. He completed 70% of his passes this year.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I never would have known that. He was 69%. 70% of his pass he completed this year. That 70% range, ladies and gentlemen, that is shooting fish in a barrel. It only happened to a few people each year. It's very, very hard to attain. To get 70% completion percentage, especially when you're a down the field offense, when you have a running quarterback, everybody's at the front. So crossing routes and different things like that are out the window. He's going downtown, ladies and gentlemen. Am I lying?
You're lying. You're not lying.
Josh Allen is going downtown, and to complete 70% of your passes and you go downtown as much as you do, that's very impressive.
That is. I got no arguments there. That's a great one. That's a great one right there, man.
So and then now you start getting into. I think the next one is pretty easy. Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Now Deshaun is in some trouble right now. I hope he was able to overcome it. But you got to.
I don't want to touch that.
You don't want to touch that?
I'm not touching that. He's a great on the field, great player. Hope whatever's going on gets worked out.
Yeah,
let's move on.
But let me say this: it's kind of suspicious that all of this stuff is coming out when he's got this contract, dispute. And every team has an ear to the ground. Yeah. Every team has an ear to the ground. Teams are not oblivious to what the players are doing. They know when you at Delilah's. They know when you at Del Frisco's. They know when you at Atlantic City. You're down there at the Tropicana. They know it. They know because they got an informant everywhere.
Everywhere.
And Dom will hit you up late, Jay, man. What you doing at Tropicana, man? It's 12 o'clock. You can't be at Tropicana right now, Jason. Dom will hit you up.
I don't want that call.
You know what I mean? You don't want that call. So it's just funny to me that I think he's being ratted out. But I'm not gonna touch any more than that. But That being said, he shouldn't be touching anybody. And but as a football player, he's also completing 70% of his passes with a horrible cast.
Yeah.
Horrible. You trade away the only asset you have on offense and DeAndre Hopkins. And DeAndre Hopkins going to have a Pro Bowl year, 1,400 yards, touchdowns, and all of this stuff. And he's the man, game-winning touchdowns.
Who was is it Steve Keim, the GM for the Cardinals? I want to know how hard he was tap dancing in his office when that deal came through.
When Bill O'Brien was when he was the GM extraordinaire down there, coach.
Oh my
God!
Like,
man, they are dumb down there. But
I get D Hop and you want who?
Exactly.
Okay, I bet he jumped up on top of his desk and started jelly rolling.
Yeah, right. We'll give you whatever you want. There you go. And made his young quarterback better. But I'm gonna put Deshaun Watson there at that 6th spot. Okay. And then after that, you gotta go Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
Lamar Jackson for 7, and this is my last one of the night. And I take that back at 7. I'm going Justin Herbert at 7. Ooh. And then Lamar Jackson. Even though Lamar Jackson has a history and he was the MVP last year, Justin Herbert is throwing that ball this year, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. If you guys haven't had a chance to watch the NFL and see the Chargers play, Justin Herbert is the truth. The man can play.
I believe it.
He's like, in order for you to compete in that division, in order for you to gain the respect and be in every ball game and to beat out Tyrod Taylor when he gets hurt, when the team conveniently punctures his
oh my God, that was crazy.
Or something, a kidney.
I felt bad for him, man.
Yeah, I feel bad for him. I felt bad for him that he didn't sue him. That's why I'm like, he's trying. They've convinced him to be a team guy. I'm like, man, no, not that. Like, you just messed up about $3, $4, $10, $15 million. You don't know if I'd have made the Pro Bowl, or what have you. But that's crazy. But anyway, Justin Herbert can throw that football, ladies and gentlemen. Then I put Lamar Jackson. What do you got for your 4 through 7?
Let's see. I got Mahomes at 4.
Oh, that's
same. I know it's low.
I understand.
Just only because
young guy,
phenomenal player, still young guy. Mm-hmm. Let me see a little bit more. But I got him ahead of Rodgers. I got at 5.
Oh yeah,
because he's been in the league longer and he's only done it one time. And for whatever reason, it just always seems to fizzle out in the playoffs for him. But the way he plays the game, very intelligent, like you said, can extend the play, can make any throw. I don't know what type of leader he is. I've never been in their locker room. I don't know. It doesn't seem like he's that great of a leader.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Like Tom Brady, I hate to go back to it, but when you losing and you look, they pan over on the sideline and you see this,
yeah,
you know what time it is, right? So you can tell he's a great leader. I think Russell's a great leader. I think Mahomes is a great leader, young great leader. I have Rodgers there just for that little bit, that little extra stuff that you need. All right. Let's see. And then we'll get into young guys. I got Deshaun Watson next. We already went over that. Mm-hmm. And then I have Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. That's my top 7.
Okay.
All right. And to me, I like Lamar a little bit more than Josh, just because of just because of the pressure that he puts on defenses. Like Josh will take off and we'll go the distance. But me as a safety, I know if I take care of business and the quarterback is running all day, somebody eventually gonna make a stop. Somebody gonna smack Josh and knock him out of the game, maybe. So in my eyes, the guy that I don't want to see running the ball in the open field is Lamar Jackson from a safety point of view, because he'll be on you before you have any idea what the heck's going on. So that's my top guys right there. So
and I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said it, because when you start thinking about it, it's like, man, when you one-on-one in the field with Lamar Jackson, it's like you got no chance.
I don't want that problem.
Or one-on-one with him. it's like certain guys, it's like you got no chance. And yeah, so I respect that. I'm more enamored by throwing ability than I am running ability, just because I know that running has a shelf life, but I still know that it's so much harder to prepare for Lamar Jackson than it is Justin Herbert. It's just like people don't realize that as well. It's so much harder to prepare for Lamar Jackson. You over there, you're worrying about like option stuff that you never practice, right? You don't practice this in training camp. You don't do anything. So you're going over run fits. Another time you're not even thinking about those things like, hey, backside, like you got to stay tight, you got to stay strong. Like who got the ball carrier, who got the
you play team ball against somebody like that, you better be on point.
If he beat us over the top, he beat us over the top, but he can't run past us.
I will say this though about, and we saw this last year and the year before. Once the team figures out how to stop him, it's a wrap. That's the one thing that's tough. You got Justin Herbert. You can figure out a way to stop some things, but
when you can't
totally exactly.
Yeah, Lamar's a limited thrower, ladies and gentlemen, and it's okay. He has way more, but I compare him to Giannis, right? Giannis can't shoot. Lamar has limited throwing ability, and they're great players, and they're going to ball. They're going to have their moments where they have 35 and 40 and or multiple touchdowns. But when it comes to the playoffs and you figure what he's doing, it's going to be very, very hard to take on the whole team consistently until he can figure out how to throw the ball consistently. And when it's cold, when you can't throw the ball consistently, it makes it worse. You can't grip the ball the same. You can't cut through the wind the same. The cold air knocks the ball down. It's a bunch of different things that's happening in January. So it's a tougher time for him. But Q, I enjoy myself as always. We are done with our third episode on the Q&A show. Fans, make sure that you're checking us out on Inside the Birds platform. Inside the Birds platform on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. Inside the Birds, the Q&A show. I'm signing out, and peace and love to everybody. My man Q is going to talk to you guys next. We're going to be on Wednesdays. We're going to be on Wednesdays at 6 a.m. We drop every Wednesday at 6 a.m. Check us out.
Check us out, man. It's a lot of fun. Enjoying it. Leave it. And also, hey, listen, drop us some questions, man. Social media, hit us up on our social media accounts.
Amen.
Hit us up. Any questions you have, we'd love to break stuff down for you guys or give you our point of view on anything. So thanks, man. Thanks for having us. Jay, as always.
Peace.